just coming back to you, what is a success for Ireland in this? Is it simple as 3 wins in the autumn, or is it 2 wins and a really good performance against South Africa?
It's a great great question, Stu. Fantastic performance, obviously 3 wins. Let's take it the other way around. They're going to beat Fiji. If they lost to Australia, I think that would be regarded as a very bad loss. Wallabies are not the team they were. The Wallabies are trying their heart out. I really admire what they're doing. They just don't have the talent at 10, 12 and 13 and a few other key positions. Got a few young players, very good young players coming through, especially up front. A couple of great young second rowers been getting their chance recently. Nick Frost in particular from the Brums, a guy I've had a lot to do with. Ned Hannigan coming back after a stint in Japan. They're trying, but they just don't have the talent. Ireland should beat them. So if they lose to South Africa and they win the other 2, that's right on the bottom line. I think the new world order that we have to accept is there's not a lot between the top 5 or 6 teams. For example, South Africa have lost to New Zealand and lost to Australia and lost to Wales in the last 6 months. Now, Ireland have beaten Wales, they've beaten New Zealand, and they've got Australia coming up and they should beat them. So there's no reason why they can't beat South Africa. So I think we have to say, if you lose to South Africa, but it's a great game and you have a great performance, okay, that's disappointing, but that's acceptable. But for South Africa to come out and dominate you, that would be very disappointing, and it'd be a setback. Not terminal for the World Cup, because you've got England and France coming up. But as I said, as you move along towards a World Cup, when you look back on the history of the teams that have won it, there's been milestone games that they've won. And I think this is a milestone game for Ireland, that if they can win, and I believe they can, I think it'll really move them forward. So there's a little bit of nuance in the numbers there, Stu. 1 loss and 2 wins, yes, but it's the performance against South Africa that will determine it. And look, the way Ireland play, South Africa don't like that. And Australia have proved that, and New Zealand have proved that. If you can get multiple passes in before that rushing defence. Now, remember, the South African defensive line compresses. They'll give you 30 metres on the outside and say, give it your best. Get it there. Kick there or pass there. But they come up so fast, they're just as likely to intercept it or put you under pressure and make an error while you're trying to get there. So it's a difficult defence. But if you can get passes in, especially off your forwards, there are gaps everywhere because they're coming up so fast. So, and Ireland play that very, very well. So, I'd like to think we get 3-0, but 2-1 would be acceptable as long as it's a great win, a great performance. Sorry.
And Alan, what do you think? What scoreline are you predicting? And also, 12 months out, these two play each other in a World Cup. Does that obviously add something? That must be in the back of Andy Farrell's mind at some stage.
It does, but I think there's, we've probably been results driven in the media and as ex-players or pundits or whatever you call us. And there is, international rugby drives the finances for Ireland and the IRFU. So it is about winning matches and getting results. Probably more so for Six Nations, always in November. There's not as much pressure, and so what's an acceptable return? I think it's a hard one. I think where Ireland are coming from, there's part of me thinks we don't need to be. There's going to be a few kind of bumps along the road here between now and the World Cup, and 2018 and 19 showed us that we thought we were really good and set and locked and loaded. And what a year it was, 2018. Winning a Grand Slam in Twickenham, winning a series in Australia, beating New Zealand in Dublin. It doesn't get much better, really, bar outside a World Cup. It doesn't get much better. So it was a phenomenal year. And I think, we just got probably blindsided a little bit. I wouldn't say people got carried away, but I think we were probably needed to develop more different ways of playing and, develop a little bit of how do we play against this power? How do we play against an England side who were going to smash into you, really kind of smother you, which they did in that first Six Nations game in 2018. And I think they rocked the foundations a little bit, and little vulnerabilities started to appear. So if we don't beat South Africa on Saturday, I'm not kind of going, oh, we're bunched now, we're on the decline, because there's probably going to be a game or two between now and next year that things aren't going to go well. And it doesn't have to happen. You don't have to have a bad run to kind of be ready for the World Cup, because I think the last time it built, it's just how we react when things go wrong. And like, I go back to being in New Zealand, being up close and personal, to watching the body language, the attitude, and just a calmness regarding the challenge ahead. And look, we all know, and deep down, that wasn't, New Zealand have had some issues, and there's been stronger teams before in New Zealand, but it was sensational. So I think this is a real test for them, and it's a test that you have a real power-based team coming to Dublin here that are going to be right in your face. Matt said it at the start. They're bringing on, Ombanambi and Oxen Shea and Vincent Koch as well. Like, that's incredible power coming off the bench. We don't have Ronan Kelleher. I love Kelleher as a player. Would Kelleher start at hooker and Sheehan coming off the bench? I think those two hookers are world class in the power, the carries, their abilities. So, Rob Herring obviously has done a great job, and he did in New Zealand, but we don't have the same impact off the bench that they have up front. And the whole idea of the A game on Friday and the Emerging Ireland Tour is to try and develop players. I want to see Joe McCarthy coming through in the next little period. He's going to be involved on Friday. I want to, and that's what Andy Farrell wants. He wants to develop and bring some guys through, put them in at the coalface. So we don't have an Irish team yet, but you'd imagine it's going to be, as strong as possible. And so I think it's a great opportunity to see how we deal with that power game. And but is it all about results? Well, of course you want to win 3 from 3, but we just have to make sure that we don't. We're going to have moments in all these games that we're going to be stressed a little bit, and I think it's about development. And if they come out the back end of this with building on the attack, getting more robust with their set piece, I think it'll be a really positive one. Obviously, you want 3 from 3, but I'm kind of like Matt. If you win 2 out of the 3, it's not a bad return, because there's no gimme on Saturday. This one, I think, obviously Fiji and Australia are 2 that you think Ireland will win. You just don't know what's going to turn up with Fiji, and they can cause anybody problems. But Saturday is the real acid test, and if they get through Saturday, well, then they're in a much stronger position. If they lose Saturday, it just makes it a bit more difficult for the rest of the series.